OGUN targets 80,000 households on the second phase of palliative measure. Ogun State Government begins first phase of virtual learning platforms for secondary school students. UK coronavirus deaths pass 20,000. WHO warns that issuance of immune passports will promote the spread of COVID-19. Good health and good sense are two of life's greatest blessings. Hello and welcome to our comprehensive news package here on Ogun State Television. I am ADEYINKA. The World Health Organization warns on Saturday that there is no evidence that people who test positive for the new coronavirus and recover are immune and protected against another infection. The warning suggests that the issuance of immune passports may promote the continued spread of the pandemic. As of the 24th of April 2020, no study has evaluated whether the presence of antibodies to SARS-CoV-2 confers immunity to subsequent infection by the virus on human. At this point in time of the pandemic, there is not enough evidence about the effectiveness of antibody-mediated immunity to guarantee the accuracy of an immunity passport or risk-free certificate. The number of people infected by coronavirus surpassed the 1,000 mark on Friday night after the country Center for Disease Control confirmed 114 new cases in 8 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. The NCDC said on its Twitter handle that 80 new cases were recorded in Lagos, 21 in Gombe, 5 in the Federal Capital Territory, and 2 each in Edo and Zamfara. 4 states, Ogun, Oyo, Kaduna and Sokoto recorded 1 case each. With the latest confirmation, Nigeria currently has 1,095 confirmed cases of coronavirus with 32 deaths, while 208 patients have been discharged. Lagos State has recorded 1 new coronavirus fatality, bringing the total deaths in the state to 19. The State Health Ministry disclosed this on Saturday via Twitter in its daily coronavirus update. It acknowledged the 80 new infections announced on Friday night by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, which brought the total number of cases reported in the state to 670, the highest by any state in the country. Ogun State Government has commenced the distribution of the second phase of distribution of items to poor and vulnerable, promising that the logistics for the distribution have been improved upon. The Governor of the state, Prince Dapo Abiodun, made this known while addressing a press conference on the coronavirus pandemic in the state. Our correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports that the Governor warned that diversion or subversion of the materials by any individual or group will not be tolerated.
Let me also state that we have commenced the second phase of distribution of palliatives to our poor, elderly, and vulnerable. This second phase is targeted to cover 80,000 households. That's about 400,000 individuals. If we add it to the first phase, which covered about 60,000 households, it means that we would have done about 140,000 households. You can multiply that by about 6. That gives you almost about 1 million people that we would have touched. Let me also reassure people that we have learned some lessons from the first phase of this distribution. So it's our hope that the second phase will reflect the lessons learned in the better organization and improved process of distribution and delivery to these vulnerable groups of the aged and vulnerable. Let me state clearly that we will not tolerate any diversion or subversion by any individual or group. Such acts will be viewed as crime against the state and visited with the full wrath of the law.
The Governor called for concerted effort towards ensuring the arrest of the upward surge in the number of confirmed cases in the country.
We have all seen the astronomical rise in the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in our country in the last 1 week. This therefore means that we must all continue to take cognizance of the health, safety, and recommendations we have issued earlier. It is important that we don't allow continued surge in cases and the attendant risk of continued community transmission. We once again encourage our people to adhere to all health safety measures put in place to flatten the curve in the country in general, and in Ogun State in particular, through measures like social distancing, washing of hands with soaps, and use of alcohol-based sanitizer where there's no water.
Abiodun was full of appreciation to the health workers, security agencies, and other essential service providers for their tenacity and hard work in the war against coronavirus. Determined to join hands and support the Prince Dakwa Abiodun-led administration in Ogun State by elevating the plight of the vulnerable and less privileged due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Special Advisor to the Governor on Job Creation and Youth Empowerment, Honorable Lekon Lude, has distributed palliative materials to the people of Imashayi in Yewa North local government area of the state. Honorable Lude, while speaking during the distribution, said it was necessary at this point in time to complement the effort of the state government to put smile on people's face and let them know they were not alone at this trying period, as the virus has seriously affected their lives.
Have to begin to think about, the people that cannot fend for themselves. What should they do? How can we help them? And that is what has informed, even His Excellency in everything he's been doing to ensure that, the palliatives are sent down, to the remotest of villages. But also, in our own private capacity, we need to start to ask ourselves that question, that, even in our own widow's mite, what can we do? And that is what has informed me to to donate some food items to the people of my senatorial district, just to ensure that in a very little way I'm also adding some what I'll call survival value to to the people of that area.
Advisor seized the opportunity to advise residents of Ogun West Central District to be more health conscious by following the guidelines set up by the government to reduce the spread of the disease in the area. Appreciating the special advisor on behalf of beneficiaries, Mrs. Abibat Oyelotan commended government efforts since the beginning of the lockdown while praying to God to bless him and put an end to the pandemic. Having enjoyed a window of relaxation on Friday the 24th of April 2020 and the ongoing lockdown occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic, residents of Ogun State again returned to their different shelters in obedience to government order. Roving crew of OGTV News combed some places in the capital city of Abeokuta to observe the level of compliance by the people. Peter Falomo reports.
It was indeed the last Saturday in the month of April 2020, but rather for it to be a sanitation period, the day falls under the ongoing lockdown in Ogun State. Like the usual restriction of both human and vehicular movements, the story was the same as mobile transits were also scarce on major roads, except for those that were given authorization by the government towards discharging their essential duties. Security operatives were on the ground, not only to enforce the lockdown order, but make arrests of violators.
Wait, where's your nose cover? Nose mask. Madam, where's your nose mask? Pass yourself. Get down, my friend. Get down.
In other places visited in Abeokuta, the state capital, some of the lockdown inspection team shared their observation with OGTV News.
Whenever we stop them, they do give complaints. They carried an officer down to somewhere that is the person that called them on phone to come and pick he or she up. So after dropping them, so for us to believe what he's saying is right, so ask such person to call the officer he carried. So after confirming what he said is true, we release such bike man to go. And there are some bike men. They do show us some ID card. They will say they are vigilante officer, and we call the vigilante officer over there to come and attend to such person to confirm what he is saying is true or not.
The total lockdown by government runs through the weekend. Peter Falomo, OGTV News.
In fulfillment of its earlier announcement, Ogun State Government has kick-started its virtual learning platform done in partnership with an accredited Microsoft Education Global Training Partner in the state, aimed at ensuring that learners in the state are not affected academically during the compulsory lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic worldwide. The initiative, which will be implemented by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, would cut across all private and government-owned primary and secondary schools in the state on core subjects in the academic curriculum in the first phase and other subjects in subsequent phases. Explaining the rationale behind the whole initiative, the Special Advisor on Primary, Secondary and Technical Education, Mrs. Ronke Shoyombo, during the first interactive session on the initiative in Abeokuta, said remote learning is a virtual learning community that provides collaboration, blended learning ecosystem, shared practical and virtual meeting among the core independent constituents, teachers, education leaders and students.
If I take you to what we have done in Ogun State, let me just share with you our website. And a lot of you must have been watching. Can you all see the site? Yes, sir. Secondary school principals, we have focused a lot on all your key topics that we want people to really pass, because if they're able to do that, then we will not have any problem at all. We have covered quite a lot there. Trigonometry is always a difficult topic. Quadratic equations, simultaneous, and so on. Not to waste your time, but you can see. Please and please, I would love all our principals to please look at this at their own spare time and see what we have done. Then also here, you will see that if you go to English as well, we have done a lot on English language. If you go to office.com, this is the very first thing that comes to your desktop. However, where I am now, you can see Teams. Teams is where you can set up meetings with all your teachers if they are registered. So we're looking for where we can upload good lesson plans for them, good scheme of work, and also what is being taught at Imekwafo is the same thing that will be taught in Shagamu. Then here you've got Ogundiji class teachers. They are the teachers that work for us, so you can see a lot that they have done. Then you have the Ogun State maths teachers. Can we see maths teachers?
The program will provide the needed avenue to generate content and learning resources from teachers and education providers to support learning as well as professional development for teachers and education leaders in the state. Accordingly, it would stimulate automation and information processing, assessment and feedback on digital literacy, with information transfer at the fastest speed while keeping the learners in sync with their counterparts in other countries of the world, especially those in terminal classes as they prepare for their certificate examination. Speaking during the inaugural session of the program, Chairman, ANCOPS Ogun State, Dr. Mrs. Wumiloju Ayodele, who said the initiative was a laudable one and first of its kind in the Southwest, if not in Nigeria, disclosed that it was coming at a no better time, especially as there was generally uncertainty on the reopening of schools and its dire effect on the learners. Chairman, Ogun State House Committee on Education, Honorable Ademuyiwa Adeyemi, admonished parents and guardians to ensure that all that was needed to ensure their wards benefit from the innovation is made available to them, adding that it will bring to rest the uneasiness on how the current situation in the world. It will be recalled that Ogun State is currently running on-air classes for learners on the state-owned television station OGTV on DSTV and GoTV called Ogun Digi Class between 9 in the morning and 11 in the morning, as well as 1 in the afternoon and 2 in the afternoon daily. Remote learning system platform is a follow-up to the Ogun Digi Class project. The interactive session, which was done on an online virtual platform at joining the management of the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, led by Professor C.D. Osho, and the Special Advisor on Education, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, House of Assembly Committee members on Education, ANCOP's representatives led by its chairman, school heads and teachers in both public and private schools in the state. Entrance examination into the Air Force Comprehensive Secondary School and Air Force Secondary School earlier scheduled for Saturday the 2nd of May 2020 has been postponed till further notice. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, adds it that the postponement is due to the need to comply with precautions aimed at flattening the curve of the spread of COVID-19. The statement adds that a new date will be announced in due course. You're still watching OGTV News. More news and report after this break. Do join us again.
Coronavirus is real. Stay at home, maintain social distancing and wash your hands regularly. Let us drive away coronavirus from our land. This message is from the Ogun State Television.
Welcome back. This year's World Malaria Day is marked by the emergence of COVID-19 outbreak, which further threatens people's life and well-being. Public health officials are taking precautionary measures to limit transmission of this virus, including reduction in social movement, physical distancing, hand washing, and recommending the use of personal protection equipment in high-risk setting. However, while focusing on combating this virus, the world cannot afford to ignore other diseases such as malaria. Speaking with the manager of Ogun State's Malaria Elimination Program, Mrs. OLAMIDE ADEYINKA, on the essence of the day, she says the day aims to keep malaria high on the political agenda, mobilize additional resources, and empower communities to take ownership of malaria prevention and care.
Is that fever is one of the symptoms of malaria. It is not automatic that if you have fever, then it is malaria you have. So once they have fever, it is important to get tested, and if it is positive, get appropriate treatment. Especially for malaria, where everybody plays doctor. We don't believe that we know how to manage it. But we should understand that we can be treating malaria, whereas the individual has some other disease conditions, especially in the face of current reality of COVID-19 pandemic.
She highlights some preventive measures against malaria.
It is important to prevent mosquito bites, because the vector that carries the parasite is the female Anopheles mosquito. So as much as possible, we should protect ourselves from getting bitten by mosquitoes. Proper environmental management. We should be sure, the rains are here now, we should make sure that we don't have stagnant water around us. Make sure that we clear bushes around us, our gutters, as much as possible. Let's make sure that we clear them. The drainages, clear them, so that dirt will not clog our gutters and drainages and make water to start staying there or stagnate there. So it is important to clean our environment so that mosquitoes don't breed around us.
The day is marked each year on the 25th of April. It is an occasion to highlight the need for continued investment and sustained political commitment for malaria prevention and control. Decades before television and internet, people relied on radio for news and entertainment. Credited to have invented radio, Italian inventor and electrical engineer Guglielmo Marconi became known for its pioneering work on long-distance radio transmission on the 25th of April 1874. Shemilori Amore tells us more.
This was the only way ships in distress communicate before Guglielmo Marconi came on the scene in the 19th century. From an early age, Marconi was fascinated by electricity. Working with researchers, he carefully built up the knowledge he needed for his inventions. At the age of 20, Marconi began to conduct experiments in radio waves. In December 1894, he demonstrated a radio transmitter and receiver, a setup that made a bell ring on the other side of the room by pushing a telegraphic button on a bench. He developed devices such as portable transmitters and receiver systems that could work over long distances, turning what was essentially a laboratory experiment into a useful communication system. The role played by Marconi Wireless in maritime rescue raised public awareness of the value of radio, particularly the sinking of the RMS Titanic on 15 April 1912. Marconi shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with Carl Brown for his contributions to radio communications. While helping to develop microwave technology, Marconi suffered 9 heart attacks in the span of 3 years preceding his death. He died in Rome on 20 July 1937 at age 63. Shemilori Amore, OGTV News.
Thank you, Shemilori, for that report. And now to the foreign scene. More than 20,000 people have now died with coronavirus in UK hospital, the Department of Health has announced. The latest figures showed a total of 20,319 deaths in the UK, up by 813 on the previous day. Last month, Stephen Powers, the medical director of NHS England, said a total number of deaths under 20,000 would be a good outcome. It has taken 51 days for the UK to go from announcing its first death before reaching the latest milestone of 20,000. We shall now have the weather forecast for Sunday.